What's up, YouTube? Smells like Vin here, and I'm gonna be bringing you guys another album review. And lately I've been into speed metal, hardcore punk, crossover, thrash metal, anything that's fast and furious and extreme. I've been really into lately. So I've been listening to Slayer, Megadeth, Municipal Waste, Suicidal Tendencies, DRI, all that good shit, Agnostic Front, all that good stuff. But a band that I've really been into lately, and I think are just such a cool, unique band that they're popular but they don't get enough recognition, is Anthrax. And I know that some of you are thinking, really, dude, Anthrax, they're underappreciated? I think so. Even though they're part of the Big Four, which I think that whole idea is pretty stupid. All the bands in the Big Four are good. But I just don't like that idea. I think could have been 8 million Big Fours. There's a lot of good thrash bands, but they are part of the Big Four of American thrash metal. But they're like the kind of band that people are like, Slayer, yeah, Megadeth, yeah, Metallica, fuck yeah, Anthrax. Cool, I guess. They don't, they're like the underdog of that whole scene, which kind of pisses me off, because they're such a cool band. There's so many unique things about them, and yes, I know their later albums aren't necessarily amazing, but I'm gonna focus on one of the classic albums, Spreading the Disease. Their sophomore effort, released 1995. Now this album marked a couple things. It was the debut of vocalist Joey Belladonna, who brought so much to the band, and I'll get to that later. Their whole sound just kind of changed because of Joey. And Spreading the Disease is a fucking really interesting album, because the band isn't clear-cut. They have a lot of different styles that they kind of mix together and synthesize into the kind of classic sound that they created. They take influence from thrash metal, speed metal. It's pretty fast, very thrashy. The guitar tone is very 80s thrash metal crunch to it. Drums are extremely speedy. You got the double bass going, things like that. But at the same time, there's a punked out vibe to them. Not only in the way the music is played, but with the kind of gang vocals where, like, the song Armed and Dangerous, the whole band screams it, and it just has this punk-like ferocity. So you have a bit of punk in there, and then there's the melody of the music. The music is actually very melodic, as well as Joey Belladonna's vocals, who kind of sounds like Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, but he does sound different. I'm not saying he copied or anything. Uses an extremely melodic, almost power metal vocal style. So all these elements sound really weird. They're like, they work when they're put together, and they do. They have this way of synthesizing all their influences and elements into this one sound that is Anthrax, and it's phenomenal. So, let's talk about this album. This album ranges from fast to very fast to mid-paced. The songs are pretty fast, but there's a couple songs that do slow it down. So, yeah, it is definitely very thrashy. The production on this album is, if you know me and you watch my reviews, you know that I rarely take points off for production. If an album doesn't sound good, if the music is good, I don't care. The only time I'd ever take away points for production is if it kind of ruins the album. And Spreading the Disease is not ruined by the production. The production is muffled, but it was only the band's second release. You can't really hear the bass that well. The drum sound is a little weird. The cymbals get drowned out. The drums in general get drowned out sometimes. The guitar tone sounds really good though. It is crunchy. It is kind of sludgy. The vocals are always high in the mix, but that's okay. But the production definitely isn't bad. It isn't as good as the band would get with albums like Among the Living, which have great production. But yeah, it's okay. The flow of this album is great. You get a real kick in the teeth with AIR, which is the album's opener. Great vocal melody, sweet riff, great cut time drumming, progressive nature, fantastic song. And then the album kind of slows down a little bit with Lone Justice, which is an awesome song. You get Madhouse, which is a classic. Speeds right up again. You know, the album has a flow as far as the tempo goes, and it's great. And yeah, the melody in this album is really interesting. In fact, it's almost totally unique to Anthrax's sound, because when you think thrash and speed metal, you think no melody. You think reckless and really fast and riffs coming at you like lightning bolts and shit like that. And yes, Anthrax, like I said, is fast, but they mix chaos and speed with order and melody, and it's really interesting. You'd think something like that just wouldn't mix, just wouldn't go, but it does. And they have a way of mixing two totally different worlds and kind of culminating them into one sound, and it's really cool. Joey is a fantastic vocalist. He totally knows how to, and the best part is vocalists like that. Vocalists who can go really high and have a really cool range. They tend to not bother me because I love the way their voice sounds, but I feel like some of them are a bit overstated. Like, take Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden. I think they're a fucking awesome band. You guys know that. I reviewed all their 80s albums. You guys know I love Iron Maiden. But sometimes I feel like Bruce Dickinson can be a bit of a show-off, which is okay, because his vocals are great. And I remember, I was talking to my brother about Maiden. He's not a big Maiden fan. He says that his vocals are overstated. They're too cheesy, like he tries so hard to show his range. Joey Belladonna never does this. Joey Belladonna uses the perfect kind of amount of melody. He never does it to the point where you're like, okay, we get it. You can hit a high note. Sing the song. He hits it right at the perfect time where, like, you're sitting there, you're waiting for it, and he hits a high note, and you're like, yeah, it's awesome. And it gives the music this kind of climax. So he really knows how to build intensity with his vocals, and I think he's just a phenomenal vocalist, perfect vocalist. Charlie Bennett is a fantastic drummer. I believe that's his name. Sorry, I forgot that wrong. He can do everything from really good grooves, excuse me, to really, really fast double bass passages. He basically can do it all. Like I said, though, the production on the drums, sometimes they get washed out, and the cymbals, sometimes you can barely hear them, which sucks. But you can hear him enough to know he's a really good drummer. Dan Spitz and Scott Ian are great guitarists. The solos are great. The riffs are fantastic. Not much to say. Just great guitar play on this album. The bass is a little understated. I couldn't hear it as much as I would like to, but there are points when you can hear it quite well, and it is up front in certain parts, but it's not as up front as I would like it to be. So yeah, Spreading the Disease in 1985. This is a really good album. I didn't have much to say on this album because it's just a really, really good 80s metal album. You get all these different styles kind of mixing into one. You get great vocals, phenomenal guitar playing, drums, a really unique sound, and an album that should satisfy any thrash metal fan. So, I'm gonna give this album a 9, because there's two songs I do not like on this record, and that's The Enemy and Medusa. And when I say I don't like them, I don't mean I hate them. I just think they're a little boring. I don't skip them, but compared to all the other songs, they just don't do as much for me. But yeah, I couldn't give it a higher score because I would just basically be lying to myself because I really don't enjoy those two songs. But definitely a really good album. Despite that fact, it's a really enjoyable thrash metal record. Anthrax is a great band, and I highly suggest all you guys check it out. So yeah, thanks you guys for watching, and see you guys next time.